important and influential and caring members of our community here to help us celebrate some great news that we're going to be sharing. My name is Chris Folk. I am the Executive Director of Mary's Shelter, and it is our honor to be hosting this event today. What I'd like to do first is to start by introducing one of our residents in our program who would like to share just a few words with you about what he has experienced prior to coming here to Mary's Shelter. So, Angel, if you'd like to join me. Yeah.
So some of the things I remember having to go through, or one of the most important things for me anyway, was I wouldn't eat as frequently as I wouldn't eat as frequently as I usually do here now. And that definitely did affected me back then. I remember my sister draining her bank account just to keep me alive. I remember being left alone for weeks on end without food. And without my sister, I don't know if I would even be here right now. I know that stuff like that, it affects not only your past, but your present, because I frequently think I'm overweight, but the staff usually try and remind me that I only think that now, probably because I'm not used to eating 3 meals a day. I'm more accustomed to something around maybe once every 3 or 4 days. I remember having a summer job not for the money, but simply because they provided food. I had checks I couldn't cash because I didn't have anywhere to put the money. And I came very close to doing something I probably would have regretted, but my supervisor at that summer job found this place and she saved my life. And without this place, I don't know. I wouldn't be where I am right now.
So, I don't know about the rest of you, but boy, that hits home. Our program helps young people ages 14 to 17, and they all share that same story. There are many times when we're doing interviews that we will stop and feed them first. And that is such an important part. It's such an important show of kindness and caring, and such an important part of Berks County and what we do. I'd like to now introduce Senator Judy Schwank so she can continue. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris, and thank you, Angel. That wasn't easy, but that's important for us to hear, to help us understand what we need to be doing to help people. Thank you. You were very brave. Well, hello, everyone. I want to thank everybody for being here. It's kind of nice being in this room with all these people crowded together, all these supporters. This is wonderful. But I'm especially proud and happy to introduce our First Lady, Frances Wolf, and my friend, I will call her my friend, for spending the morning with us here in Berks County. Welcome, First Lady. And you know, I know how passionate she is about the issue of food insecurity. Today, we're here at a pretty amazing and unique place. Luckily for us, Mary's Shelter is just one of the many fantastic organizations in Berks County doing life-changing work for our community by providing housing and social services to moms and pregnant women, and homeless youth as well. It was only about 2 months ago I was here for the open house for the new rooms that are being used to help to house the homeless teams. First Lady Wolf, if you haven't seen the facilities here yet, and I don't believe that you haven't, I think a tour is scheduled, you're going to be really pleasantly surprised by what you see. Mary's Shelter is one of the most innovative nonprofits here in Berks County in addressing our community needs. They're a go-to for me and for many other people as well. Today we're talking specifically about food insecurity and the need to help our food banks be better. There's no mistaking that COVID-19 and the pandemic have changed our lives. One long-standing issue that was made very clear was just how many people are food insecure or on the verge of being food insecure. People are hungry. Children are hungry. If there's anything useful to come out of this pandemic, we've learned where our weaknesses are in addressing hunger. We know now that we could do better in making sure that people not only have food to eat, but more importantly, healthy, nutritious food, and available to them in a way that's easy for them to access. That's why I'm very excited to announce that Pennsylvania, the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, will be investing over $11.4 million in our American Rescue Plan funding in food banks across the Commonwealth. In my role as minority chair of the Senate Agriculture Committee, I've been focused on food insecurity for a long time. This is an issue I'm passionate about as well, and I lobbied hard in my caucus to include money for food banks among the other things that we wanted to prioritize with the ARP, the American Rescue Plan dollars. I've volunteered before and during the pandemic at several drive-up food distributions, food pantries, and helped assemble food boxes. So I have a little knowledge of how important our food banks and pantries are for so many families. They have been true heroes for us in this pandemic. Thank you so much, and before and in the future as well. Even still, like many of you, I was shocked by the images of seemingly never-ending lines of food pantries that were displayed on news channels during the height of the pandemic. Those images, no matter where they were taking place, made it crystal clear to a lot of us that we have problems that we've got to address. Certainly, making sure everyone has access to a food bank is critical. No one in our Commonwealth, or the entire United States for that matter, should be going hungry. But we also need to make sure that people get access to food banks that have nutritious and fresh foods, and they are struggling very mightily to make that happen. A balanced diet and eating foods that are high in nutritional value are important. Mary's Shelter, along with many other great services it provides, have a partnership with our local food bank, Helping Harvest, and they keep a food pantry stocked here for people in need. However, like many food pantries, the items they can offer people are limited to non-perishables, stuff in boxes and cans, due to a lack of refrigeration. Helping Harvest was one of the first food banks in the Commonwealth to understand the need to offer fresh fruits and vegetables at food banks and other sites, like the backpacks that kids take home over the weekend from school. And now, thanks to Governor Wolf and his administration, Pennsylvania will be making investments to help build out infrastructure like large freezers, walk-in refrigerators, even refrigerated food distribution trucks for large food banks like Helping Harvest, as well as small and mid-sized pantries like the one here at Mary's Shelter. The one food pantry that I volunteer at has been using the refrigerator from the church that actually belongs to the church to help, support, to store food. They need more room. They need more food availability. I know they're excited about this. Food insecurity is an everywhere problem. It's an issue in places like here in the city, but in the rural parts of Berks County and the Commonwealth as well. It's everywhere. So nobody's immune to it, and we've got to work together to find solutions. Thankfully, with us today are people dedicated to finding those solutions. And before I introduce the First Lady, who's here on behalf of the Wolf administration, I want to again say thank you to everybody for being here today and for all the work you're doing in this area and many others. This is a huge step forward in helping to end hunger, and I'm so pleased to be here and to welcome our First Lady, Frances Wolf. First Lady.
Oh, thank you so much, Senator Schrank. Thank you. It is an honor to be here today to celebrate the nearly $11.4 million investment into our food banks, which we know is also an investment into the well-being of Pennsylvania as a whole. During the pandemic, our charitable food network faced countless barriers, which included things such as supply chain interruptions, staffing shortages, logistical challenges, storage limitations, transportation obstacles, the list goes on. And yet, by working in partnership with state and federal government and other nonprofits and the business community, our food banks prevailed, distributing almost 400 million pounds of food since March of 2020. The partnerships that we formed have been so powerful, and it's really important that we continue that momentum and to turn the lessons that we've learned over these many months, almost 2 years, that we've learned together, and to turn them into sort of meaningful action. Increasing cold storage capacity will strengthen our charitable food network in so many ways. It'll help to increase the amount of fresh, nutritious food that pantries, such as the one here at Mary's Shelter, that they can offer in families in need. It will allow food banks to create more mobile pantry options, ones that can meet people where they are and break down the transportation barrier that so many Pennsylvanians have in terms of access and public transportation. And it also means that we can save more excess produce from Pennsylvania farmers through the Pennsylvania Agricultural Surplus System, sharing those goods with those in need than rather sending it to our landfills. All of this collectively means that we have a better, stronger, more resilient Pennsylvania food system, which translates into a better, stronger, more resilient Pennsylvania and stronger and more resilient citizens. I want to thank, and I know Tom does too, to thank the General Assembly for its support of this investment, to Jane and the team at Feeding Pennsylvania and Hunger Free Pennsylvania for their leadership, and to everyone here who has played a part in keeping Pennsylvanians fed this past almost 2 years. Just know that Tom and I really know that this work is important, and we're really honored to be a part of this. So thank you all for the work that you're doing, and thank you all for the attention that you're giving this project and this issue. Thank you very, very much. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. My name is Jane Clements, and I am the CEO of Feeding Pennsylvania. And I'm here on behalf of all of Pennsylvania's food banks and Charitable Food Network and Hunger Free Pennsylvania. And I'm actually joined today by several of our food bank employees. We have the Central Pennsylvania Food Bank here, obviously Helping Harvest, the York County Food Bank, Second Harvest Lehigh Valley, and Phil Abundance made the trip up. And we're really all just so grateful for this massive investment in our charitable food network. We have 18 major food banks in Pennsylvania that distribute food through a network of about 3,000 agencies. And as the second lady talked about the Pennsylvania Ag Surplus System, there are 53,000 farms in Pennsylvania. For anyone to be food insecure is just unacceptable. So with investments like this, we hope to continue to be able to provide nutritious food to the nearly 1.6 million Pennsylvanians facing hunger. And we couldn't do that without our food banks. And so it is my pleasure to introduce Jay Worrell, the president of Helping Harvest, to provide so much food to pantries like this one.
Thank you, Jane. Thank you, Judy. Thank you, First Lady Wolf. On behalf of Helping Harvest and our 320 food distribution partners in Berks and Schuylkill County, I just want to express my appreciation for the support that's being shown to us by this state. As everybody in this room knows, the last 2 years have been very challenging for food banks. We've seen an increase in demand that we were not prepared for. And I think with my colleagues behind me, I will say it's been the most challenging year of my professional life, but also the most rewarding. And to see the level of support for food insecurity that has emerged on the back end of this pandemic is so inspiring, and just makes us feel so good about the work that we do in the community that we do in it. One of the things that this investment will allow food banks like Helping Harvest to do is to provide cold storage facilities for our pantry partners, like here at Mary's Shelter. So we have undergone a cold storage expansion in our own facility. We just increased our ability to hold frozen and perishable products by 50%. But that doesn't always help us get that product to the people that need it, because we rely on our partners to do that. So being able to purchase cold storage, freezers, and refrigerators for our pantry partners will allow us to complete that chain and get foods from the farms into our food bank and distributed to our pantry partners, and ultimately in the hands of the people who need it. So again, I just want to express our appreciation and thank you so much for this level of support. The state has been a great partner, the Wolf administration. Senator Schwank and I have known each other for many years, and I am not surprised by her support, but I am honored by it. And so again, I just want to say thank you very much. Go ahead. And my understanding is we are available to take questions from the media at this time. We may not have answers for you. If there are none, I guess we're going to have a tour. Is that right, Chris?
Yes, actually.
Yeah.
David liked to.
Does Representative Guzman, would you like to provide any remarks before we wrap up?
Sure.
Perfect.
Oh, great. Oh,
Well done.
Hey, y'all. Well, I won't take up too much time because I know we all want to go on a tour. But First Lady Wolf, thank you so much for being here, and thank you all for being here. Angel, thank you for your story. You know, when you told your story, I instantly reverted back to being that kid on South 4th Street, single mom of 5, who struggled at times to feed us. Right? I remember going to school and the only meal I ate that day was the meal that I ate at lunch in the Reading School District. And so my family, we depended on these food banks. My grandmother, who passed away about 3 weeks ago now, she was my personal hero. And I remember vividly, just a couple of weeks ago, we were at the Salvation Army, First Lady Wolf, and we gave out over 1,000 turkeys to families in need here in the city of Reading. And in that moment, I reverted back to seeing my grandmother, who stood in those freezing, frigid lines at times, just to try to make sure that her kids and her family had food to eat. And for far too many people in the city of Reading, their stories are like my stories and like Angel's story. You know, I see my mother everywhere. I see my grandmother everywhere. I see women who are leading our communities, who are struggling, but are also facing the really brunt end of this COVID-19 nightmare, where we have thousands of single moms and single family homes where they're struggling to put food on the table. They're struggling to keep lights on. They're struggling to pay their rent and even stay in their homes. And so I can't tell you enough just how thankful I am to have partners like Mary's Shelter and the investments that we're doing in food banks across the Commonwealth, because I know that each of those investments are going to impact families like mine and communities like mine. And I take that very personally. So Angel, know that when we're up there in Harrisburg, Judy and I, we're fighting for our families. We're fighting for families like yours. We're fighting for families like mine, because I know too well what that feeling is like, not having enough to eat. And I know that too many of our families in Reading and across the Commonwealth are currently going through the same. So we're here to fight. This is just the start of more investment to come. Thank you so much.
Sure. can come up too, please.
You were one of our main speakers, so yeah, please come up. All right, guys.
Are you guys gonna try to do this?